This video is going to look at responding to the 2009 HSC question 11. With reference to the two signs above and your own knowledge, account for the changes in Australia's religious landscape since the 1960s. The first question to ask is, which dot point or dot points does this question address? And that's given to us here in the question. Account for the changes in Australia's religious landscape since the 1960s. If we have a look at that dot point, which parts of this dot point does this question address? A question might incorporate all of these parts of the dot point, but this particular question doesn't. The most obvious part of the question is immigration. So where do we see evidence of immigration in these church notices? First of all, we know that in 1965, the White Australia policy was still in effect. So therefore, we would expect to see a dominance of white Anglo-Saxon cultures. There's no other names appearing on the church notice that look like they are from any other origin. Looking at the name of the Reverend William Thomas has that white Anglo ring to it. By 2009, however, things are very different, and a big turning point was 1973 when the White Australia policy was abolished, which allowed the migration of people from a greater variety of countries and ethnic groups to come to Australia. And this also increased the ethnic diversity of existing Christian denominations. We definitely see this in the provision of Chinese church services in probably Mandarin or Cantonese, and the Tongan service in their language. And we see the names of the two reverends here that are definitely not Anglo-Saxon. One of the other dot points that we could look at is describe the impact of Christian ecumenical movements in Australia, that the creation of the uniting church was the result of ecumenism. So in 1965, we've got the Methodist Church. The Methodist, the Congregational and Presbyterian churches then were separate, but in 1977, they joined to form the uniting church. They foregoed their differences, and in the interests of the spirit of ecumenism to bring about Christ's reign on earth, you could perhaps say an argument for denominational switching, people moving from any of these earlier churches, the Methodist Church, Congregationalist or Presbyterian, to become members of the Uniting Church. The reason those three churches joined was because of declining numbers. So that could be some evidence of increasing secularism, but those two points are not as strong as ecumenism. And what about your own knowledge? Just looking at Reverend Jennifer Hill. So we have a female leader within a Christian church as the minister or the reverend. And so this is kind of taking note of the changing role of women in society. Now it's your turn to write a response to the 2009 HSC question 11.